Hello and welcome to week 12 of Electronic Media Copywriting, J241. I'm your host and instructor, Michael Betker. This week we're going to be tackling print advertising. But first, there's a few other housekeeping ideas or things I want to talk to you about. So attendance, obviously we're not doing that anymore, but obviously I'd like you to look at this video. Now we're going from face-to-face to asynchronous teaching. So every Sunday/Monday, and I'm a little late with this one because I've been kind of overwhelmed with stuff to do. So I appreciate your patience, but so I'm recording this here late at night on a Monday, but usually you'll get this no later than Monday, Monday time frame. But working on that, obviously working also on grading your information, your preliminary pitches. So I'll be working on that tomorrow, which is Tuesday. I want to kind of talk about the final project and other things coming up here, just level set on that with you guys, and then we're going to spend some time talking about print advertising today. I'm going to give you some my sort of crash course on print advertising, and then we'll talk about print ad number 1, which is due on Sunday at midnight this week. So let's get into it. First, let's talk about the campaign a little bit. I have some timeline things I want to talk to you guys about, and it's obviously a few changes that we have to discuss. So the first thing here, obviously, that was due yesterday, the preliminary pitch. Hopefully you guys got that in. If you didn't, strive to get that in quickly. I will start grading those tomorrow, first thing when I get up. So I'll give you guys feedback on that. That was due yesterday, technically, but let's try to get those in as soon as you can. Obviously, the preliminary pitch is 2 concept ideas that you want to stretch out, write out as directed by the sheet. So get that in as soon as you can. I'll be grading those tomorrow as soon as we can and give you guys feedback on that. And what I'm going to do then is tell you kind of which of the 2 concepts I think is stronger. You're then going to take that information, my feedback. You'll get a grade on your preliminary pitch as well, and then also I'll give you feedback on kind of which direction you should take. And then what you want to do then right away after that is start producing that concept. So a concept meaning 1 radio script, 1 TV script, and storyboard. So we're going to just do one concept and 2 ads. Okay. Let me know if that's not clear, but hopefully that makes sense to you guys. Between now and 4/21, I'd like you to be working on these, just kind of to fine-tune those, because a solid draft of those is due at 4/21. Now, around that time frame, we're planning on having conferences, which obviously can't happen anymore because of the COVID-19 crisis. So we'll be kind of pivoting off of that, and I'd like you guys to just get them as close to being done as you can, something you can share with me. Load those into Canvas, spot that I'll create for you guys by 4/21. And then what I'll do is give you quick, down and dirty sort of thoughts on what's going on, where you're at, what you need to do, and the health and well-being of your project. Okay, so that's good for you, and it's good for me as well. I want you guys to do the best job you possibly can. So this is going to be our workaround for the conferences we no longer can have. So it'll be more of a digital conference. And like I said, have those scripts as done as possible. And I'll give you some feedback and tips and some things that if there's any big time errors, hopefully we can fix those before the final presentation. Around that same time frame, I'd like you to prioritize the radio script first between when you get feedback from your preliminary pitch and when 4/21 hits. Okay, so work on that radio ad first. Let's get that one done, because I'm going to give you guys a list of names this coming week here. That you'll be paired up with because the production student on the 439 side will be producing your script as a part of their grade. So what's cool about that is you're gonna get a produced finished product that you can then present to your groups at the end of the semester. I would say you want to do that, and when you get your name, the person, you want to reach out to them and send them your script as soon as you got it done, and then have them produce that script for you. And hopefully, fingers crossed, you'll have that back to you by the time you are scheduled to present, which everybody's scheduled to present or publish their videos by the 5th of May. So that's kind of the strategy there between now and the end of the semester for that stuff. Once you get my feedback on those script and storyboards by around 4/23, you can then, of course, fine-tune your ad. You'll have a notion of time then again between 4/23 or 4/24, somewhere in that range, and when you actually have to have your recording done, okay, and published. So that's a lot of time. So you guys should there's no reason why you guys shouldn't do top shelf work here. I would just say don't let it dangle till the very end, because that's going to leave you in some trouble, because obviously we've got to record these things. So I got a slide here next to just kind of talk about how we strategize to do that. This week, like I said, we're going to be working on print. So we're going to have a print ad assignment this week, which is irrespective of what's going on for the final project. That will be due, this print ad assignment will be due on 4/12, which is this coming Sunday at 11:59. All right, so that's kind of in a nutshell, the rest of the semester, kind of the highlights. So let's talk about something I'm sure you're thinking about. Gosh, how am I going to record this thing from home? And how am I going to get this all done? So here are my thoughts on this. So recording your speech, let's talk about a couple options here. Now, option one requires that you have a cell phone and a laptop. Now, let me know if you have or don't have those, but essentially what you'll want to do then is have an audience member hold your cell phone and record you giving your speech using your laptop. And the laptop could be set up in such a way that the screen is visible to the person recording you. And then you can, of course, go through your presentation. So you can show the slides and also record yourself presenting to a group. In every case here, you want to show your audience first. So when you start out, you want to show this, and I'll give you an example of this in a second here. But at the beginning, at the end of your speech as well. But that's the simplest way to do this. So if you have a cell phone and a laptop, and I think everybody pretty much does probably. If you don't, let me know. Give me a call and we'll work something out. But hopefully everybody's got a smartphone. These smartphones are built for recording these days, and they've got high-powered cameras and audio that can work well enough for what we're trying to do here. So that's one option, right? So give your phone to somebody, have them record you with your laptop up there, and then you can just make sure that your laptop screen and PowerPoint is visible as you go through your speech. The other one, a little more fancy-dancy, one that I would recommend you use, and I got an example I'm going to show you in a second here, is to add your TV to the mix, okay? So having a laptop and a TV. So you don't need your cell phone in this situation, right? You use your laptop to record yourself presenting. That same laptop can then be, of course, hooked up to your TV using an HDMI cord. Now, there's other ways to do this as well. So if you have a Roku, or if you have an Apple TV device and an HDMI cord, you can make this happen. So I'll show you how that looks in a sec, but that's probably the better option if you can make it work. Now, we have some time to figure this out, and I would say at the bottom there, the last line, good to figure this out now because COVID. If you want to continue to be a student, I hope you do, you're going to want to figure this out because we'll be doing a lot more stuff digitally, I got a feeling. I don't see this abating anytime in the next few weeks, much less few months, much less maybe a little longer. So we've got a plan for the worst here. So I would say this is something you want to sit down and strategize on to figure out. But option two is the better of the two options. Obviously, you want to be able to freely move around and use your TV to your advantage. If you've got a big enough TV, it doesn't have to be huge, but something you can stand in front of and point to and click as you go forward. So you don't have to orientate your TV or your laptop rather. So that's kind of how I would do that, and I'll show you an example of a student in my 110 class and how they did it. So really what you need here is not just a laptop, TV, and an HDMI cord to connect your laptop to your TV, and then you can kind of do what I've been describing there. Of course, once you're done with that video, you want to publish it to Kaltura, and there's directions I'll put into Canvas as well if I haven't done so already on how to do that. Pretty simple. Once you get into your thread, you hit that little blue V, click on that and go to My Media. And then when you click on My Media, there's a place where you can upload that. And it's pretty intuitive. So we'll talk about that as well. But that's kind of the plan there. And again, like I say, this is important for you to figure this out. And you have a lot of time here, and I'm here for you if you have any questions or you're struggling with something. But this is kind of what we got to figure out. So that's kind of it. Let's take a look at an example. So here is a student from one of my past classes.
And this is my persuasive speech. Let me show you my audience.
So she's got her laptop connected to the TV.
So do you see the similarities in these four images? Do you see the differences? These are all marine mammals that have been affected by plastic in one way or another, ranging from seabirds to sea turtles to mammals. Plastic doesn't discriminate.
So true.
Those cans,
Okay, so you guys,
styrofoam, and
you get the idea.
is another major factor.
That's kind of how I would handle that, right? So using your laptop, pivoting, showing your audience, and coming back, training the camera on you and your screen to make sure it's kind of in focus. And then it's off to the races. Now, a little bit of practice makes perfect. I also wanted to share this other site here, and I'll put this link in there too, for how to play a PowerPoint slide on your TV. Like I said, there's an HDMI cable there, and you want to hook that up through your laptop, and then, of course, to your TV. And then there's ways to play your slides in multiple ways. So it just takes a little time, a little effort to figure it out, but most TVs nowadays have HDMI ports. And then, of course, you can also use streaming devices like Roku, Apple TV, etc. is another thing you could do. And like I said, again, it's important for us to figure this out as best we can, because I suspect you'll have other classes where this is being required. So, all right, let's get back on track with things. So that's, in a nutshell, what we're looking for there on how to record your speeches. All right. Quick reminder again, just now we're kind of off and running. You guys have your preliminary pitches done. You have your client selected more than likely. Just a reminder again of kind of the process we're going through here from beginning to end. And we've already talked about this slide, but I want to share this again, right? So you know the client, the product, and the target audience analysis. You've kind of got a good feel for who you're targeting now, right? The other thing you should be thinking about as you develop your creative is competitive analysis, and I'll take a look at that when I get to your preliminary pitches. Hopefully you guys have teased out some kind of a USP like we discussed in class, unique selling proposition. The one thing, of course, that's the one thing that sets your brand or product or your company you've selected apart from the rest. And then, of course, the creative selling idea is really the concepts you've kind of pulled together, right? And then what you're doing right now is, once I give you feedback on your preliminary pitch, step 5 here is sample message creation. So you're going to start making a draft of your ads. So we're really following this process, and we're really at step 4/5 right now, right? Some examples, again, Burger King, we've talked about this before, but in the past, Burger King has been in number 2 to McDonald's, and now I think Subway is number 1, but the Burger King examples, flame broiled burgers, not flat fried. Of course, we know at one point Burger King used that as a way of kind of separating themselves from McDonald's. So flame broiled had a lot of value based on how they marketed advertised their stuff. That was their one thing. And then, of course, more recently, this is some time ago, but having it your way is another thing that Burger King did to differentiate themselves. So that's the key. That USP, that unique selling proposition, is meant to help you separate yourself from the competition. So finding that USP. This slide, let's talk about this quickly, right? So the winning zone is that green checkbox, that green space there between what your brand does well and what the consumer wants. So that's the tricky part, right? It may do something really well, but these guys don't care about it, right? So that's the trick. We got to find that space here. And this green, this is the holy grail, right? For us as writers, we got to find that space between what the brand does well and what people care about. What your competitors do well, right? We don't want to do that. We don't want to do what they do, right? We want to own space in the consumer's mind that's unique to your brand and your product. What is that thing? Who knows? Let's use that Station 1 example again, right? Now, it's easy to copy that, but no one would. But Station 1 has that $4 deal, right? Where you get 2 hot dogs, a nice big glass of beer, and some fries for $4. That's a pretty good deal, right? Good selling proposition, good thing to focus on there. And that's a spot where you're not going to get anybody else kind of, unless they come in and compete with you. But for right now, Station 1 has this space kind of locked up. But that's the key, right? So requires you to do some analysis on your competitive set when you do this kind of stuff. What are the competitors doing? And that's what I'm asking you guys to do here with your clients. Some other examples of this, some unique selling propositions, which can a lot of times find its way into a slogan of some kind. So M&M's, melts in your mouth, not in your hand. Domino's, pizza delivery in 30 minutes or it's free. Now they've changed that since for obvious legal reasons, but back in the day it was legit. And the last one, Geico, online quote comparison can save you hundreds of dollars. So these are all things that really kind of articulate this unique selling proposition that sets brands apart from others. One thing that's cool is Royal Purple every year puts out this, and I think they came up with this one already. You can go online and find this, but what's the best of the best, right? So if you pick the Sweet Spot, for example, back in, I think 2019, they were the best coffee, captures coffee title, right? So this is one way to say, all right, I've got a USP built in based on the Royal Purple's coverage of whatever product. Best burgers, another one there. So these are great ones to look for. Looking for these types of things give you that USP that we're looking for. I think I mentioned this before, but this is an example of some of the stuff I did when I worked with Briggs & Stratton and we licensed the GE brand, right? So we came up, I basically spent a lot of time thinking about the brand and the products, and we had this little guy here, the generator, And most compact, energy efficient is kind of a tagline we came up with, but these are some copy. And today we're going to talk about how to write copy with bullet points. So this is kind of appropriate to talk about. But some of the things I said, don't let its size fool you, and other things like that. This little guy can really power a whole house efficiently. So, and GE is all about efficiency. So taking the brand into context right now, obviously in this case, GE is a big brand and a well-known brand. Lots of information you can find about GE. Our brands, in a lot of cases for this class, are largely unknown and unfettered by any years and years and years of decades, frankly, of copywriting. So we're going to do this from a fresh perspective. But these are the kinds of things you'll do, right? So here's some things that I kind of pulled together. This is a slide snapshot from some of the things I've done in the past about positioning. And this is how I always thought, whenever I wrote any copy for GE, I'd always think about these basic tenets of the brand. You should do the same for yours. This is a slide I came up with. I worked a long time on this slide. Again, from a positioning standpoint and a USP standpoint, unique selling proposition. Most compact, most affordable, most fuel efficient, and the smallest whole house generator is really what we were saying here, right? And that's it. This is what we did. And the tagline I used to articulate this was power more for less. Most generators are very expensive, right? And this little generator here was affordable. So I think $2,999 uninstalled. So really came in on the low end of the market, but made a big claim that it could manage your whole house power and a power outage. So that was kind of how we went to market with this product. Just one example, positioning, right? Here's an example of some things you do. Now, as copywriters, we may find ourselves not just writing radio and TV ads. You may be asked to write a brochure or to create a sell sheet. And this is an example of something I had pulled together when I worked with GE. All right, so just let's pivot off that now. So let's assume now we're going to take that information and we're going to start thinking about our own copy, right? So this week here, we're just going to focus a little bit on writing for print, from catalog to web page. Okay, so in other words, whatever you do for print can also find its way into a website. Either way, in most cases, you see that. I want to share this with you first here. This naked box. Now, one thing I spent a lot of time working on too when I worked at Briggs was on how to make good packages. Which you would think it seems like a really easy thing to do, right? Just put a picture of the product on there and maybe the name of the product and maybe a website and you're good to go, right? Well, generally these things, a box like this, let's say this is a generator box, it would take, or a pressure washer box, it would take on average 6 months to go from this naked box to market. So there's a lot that goes on with making a package. Really, a lot of times all you have is the box too, right? If your products are on shelf at, let's say, Home Depot, like ours was, or any retailer, usually all you have is the package to tell a story. So you've got to be really smart about how you lay out these boxes. Here's the other thing too. A lot of times it's got to be at least bilingual, if not trilingual. So each side of the box has to be written in a different language. Now, in most cases, you have the English side here, right, which is the kind of the money side. But then, of course, you may have French Canadian, and on the other side, you may have Spanish. But either way, you've got to kind of think about that as well. So you got to use one panel to tell the story in most cases in English. What would you need to know about this product before you would be willing to buy it, right? In any case, this product it needs to be very clear. So we're going to talk about how to write that kind of copy today. The key to product copy, here it is, right? The customer can't touch the product or in many cases even read the packaging. So ask yourself, what would I need to know? That's the first clue, right? What's most important? A lot of times we tend to start thinking about these as copywriters in terms of most important to least important. So whenever you see bullet points, usually it's, okay, I'm going to put the most important feature first at the top, right? And that's often how it's done. Let's talk about Frank Smith here. Frank's a fictitious character. Somebody I worked with, though, who I wrote some copy for once upon a time, was convinced that copy served no purpose. So maybe not much of a marketer. You may encounter folks like this, by the way, who don't really believe in the power of copywriting. And copywriting certainly, if you look at how copy is used online, even certain keywords can make or break an ad. So we know that the power of the words are there. Some people just don't understand that. Frank didn't either. Most of the time, Frank is wrong with his opinions. Sometimes he's right, but usually, good copy will make a difference. So let's take a look at some of these examples here. What I want you to do is kind of look at each of these here. Let's say we're writing about jewelry, for example, here, right? Jewelry is an interesting one. Did you know that jewelry and diamonds in general are overpriced on purpose? This was kind of foisted upon us unsuspecting consumers some time ago, but diamonds are plentiful and they don't need to be as expensive as they are. So a lot of times, De Beers was the company, frankly, that came up with this campaign where it's this should be worth several checks of your hard-earned money to buy a diamond. The reality is they're a diamond a dozen, no pun intended there. So let's look at this copy here, cubic zirconia ring, right? Which is not a real ring. And let's look at the copy. This stunning cubic zirconia ring features a 3.5 carat cushion cut center with small round stones, pave set on a split band. An approximate 4.52 total carat weight. This high-quality cubic zirconia ring is set in solid 14 karat white gold and is available in 14 karat yellow gold via special order. Cubic zirconia weights refer to equivalent diamond carat size. And of course, there's the part number there, or model number, and then the price, $1,090. Is this a hit or a miss? Is this copy good or bad? Some things to note about this copy first. Notice that it uses certain buzzwords like zirconia, carat, and pave set. Because this was taken from a jewelry website, they are assuming some prior knowledge about jewelry in general. So that's sometimes what you want to do, is use some keywords that are going to maybe, especially if it's online, they're going to help index your site or the ad itself for folks who are searching for a cubic zirconia ring. So that's one of the reasons why you do that, right? Sometimes something this product block doesn't really do is give the reader a reason to buy. Sometimes the adjective like stunning helps, but there really isn't any benefit-oriented copy at all. That's one of the problems I would say with this copy. The price seems to be high for a fake. Also, that's the other thing, over $1,000 for this thing, right? But then you look at the actual carats, and if you bought that thing as a diamond, it'd be $5,000 to $50,000 depending on the quality of the diamond itself. So again, that's where they understand that price tag is probably a sharp price for a fake diamond. And if you've ever seen a zirconia diamond before, I would not be able to tell the difference. So high quality zirconia will be very hard to tell from a real diamond, of course. So the copywriter could have pitched the concept of all the sparkle at a fraction of the price. The copy block could have been much better than what it's like. I would say this is a bit of a miss. So we're looking for, again, to really use those benefit statements more. Why is it important, right? Impress your friends, that kind of stuff. All right, let's talk about clothing, okay? Is this one a hit or a miss? This jacket here, the hurricane cloth shirt. It's actually not a jacket, a shirt. So this copy block here sure offers a lot of information, that's for sure. So it's heavy duty, 5.8 ounce cotton fabric, which repels oil, water, and stains. Wind resistant and breathable for comfort while working, regardless of the weather. So again, these are product features and benefits combined. Lined with cotton flannel for extra warmth, and tough on the outside, soft and warm on the inside. So you're seeing right away here this feature benefit sort of narrative that's better than what we saw with the diamond before. We know what it's made of and the details and its construction. To get tactile description of how the shirt feels, again, quote, pre-washed and well-worn softness. It looks and feels like you've owned it for years. Although you may ask yourself why someone would want to buy a shirt that feels used, just think of how uncomfortably stiff new clothing can be at times, and you may have your answer. This may seem like a lot of copy for a simple shirt, but of course, because the cost is so high, but in spite of that, I would say that this is a good example of a good ad, because it does use that benefit feature copy, and it tells a story in such a way that is compelling. All right, let's talk about food, how to write about food. Gin-gins. Food copy is a challenge because even the best examples can't make it possible for us to virtually taste the food. Right, so we'll never get a chance to know that unless we bite the bullet and buy the food or the product. This particular block of copy makes an attempt explaining that these candies blend sweet and hot flavors, which I'm intrigued by. I do like that sort of juxtaposition of tastes, so they understand that as well in this copy. If you've never experienced them before, that may be hard to understand. The copy block does, I think, do a good job of listing the ingredients. For example, down here, so they spend a lot of time talking about each of these. And the bullet points: natural, spicy, and delicious. A great afternoon pick-me-up. Supports digestion and alertness. Again, does a good job of talking about kind of the features and some of the key benefits. We also include nutrition facts as well. In general, I would say that this copy itself is a hit, although the use of asterisks that don't connect to anything is a problem. So make sure there's good connections to each of these here as much as possible. But again, I would say I'm intrigued by Gin Gins, even though I'm sure it probably tastes pretty awful. All right, let's talk about toys. Now, this is an old school toy, and I had one of these when I was a kid. So this is written for somebody perhaps in the 1960s. Let's read this here. Wowie Kazowie, the original Bozo Bop bag from our youth. So obviously they're reaching out to people in my target demographic, 50 plus. The Bopping Bozo, and I remember there's actually video footage of me punching this thing. But the Bopping Bozo is the bean, and the nice alliteration there, Bopping Bozo in the bean, is sure to get rid of tons of excess energy. Last seen in the 1960s, this original Bop bag has bounced back with all the features you remember. 3D hair, squeaky 3D nose, a bop zone, and a sand-filled base. Simply blow it up and bop away. 46 inches tall, and the price is a reasonable $20. So I love this copy here, and for a lot of reasons. I just think it's tight. It uses language that, like Wowie Kazowie, for example, would really resonate with somebody 50 plus. That's the kind of language that kids used back in the day. So I think that's good as well. Copyright isn't talking to me specifically, or you specifically, maybe, so it might not resonate as much as you, but last seen in the 1960s means that I'm a big part of their target audience, right? So that's kind of why I think it's important. So this is really a hit here, and hitting Bopping Bozo in the bean is a nice little piece of prose there. So this is an absolute hit for me. All right, books, another example. Now this, of course, we're just going to touch on a few of these here. There are all kinds of products out there, but the key here is to understand your target audience, like we've been discussing here. Target audience in this case is me, 50 plus folks. Target audience for Gin Gins, who knows? But folks who are maybe health conscious, right? And the shirt here, obviously folks who are willing to pay a little bit more for something that feels soft and already has that broken in feel. The diamond here we know is folks who want to look be perceived as wealthier, so we know we're targeting those folks here. So let's talk about this book here. Now, the target audience obviously would be, in this case, folks who love cats, right? And I'm not going to read this whole thing here. You can take a look at this at your leisure, but it's a lot of copy, right? And how you react to it may depend on how you feel about cats. So if you're a cat person, that's your first clue, right? Now, this is a parody copy, right? Anybody who has ever met a cat knows that they don't dance. Maybe they do, but I don't think that they do. Either way, cats don't dance. So this is kind of a joke, but either way, the copy block does stick out with its joke all the way through the end and uses descriptive language. So it's somewhat between a hit and a miss here for me. Now, there are people out there who would probably buy this book, myself not included. Okay. Those are some examples of different ways to write copy. But again, it's the key thing here is just knowing your target audience a little bit better and coming up with keywords. It's really kind of like we've learned in this class, right? To go really use the best words, the keywords that really hit home with that target audience in such a way that it's going to make them really feel nostalgic or really want to buy that product because it's a word that they've felt like close to. All right, so we're getting down the path here. Let's talk about good, better, best. This is something you'll learn a lot about when you do any kind of durable goods or any products that go onto a shelf where you make a package and things like that. Usually you'll have a step-up strategy. And the rule of 3 is something I want to talk about here with good, better, best, right? When selling multiple items of the same type, it's critical not to oversell. Don't write products in isolation. This makes it too hard to judge their quality and level of features. So what's needed here, right? People need to be led by the nose almost, and they need to be stepped up. Now, there's schools of thought on whether you start at the top with the best product first and then go down to the cheapest, or if you start with the cheapest and move your way up. Both can work in different situations. But either way, a clear step-up strategy. So when whatever product they start reading, you get it, right? They get, if I go left or if I go right, I'm going to encounter something that's pretty good, maybe better, or maybe best. Either way, but you've got to think this through, right? And each of these products need to tell that story and step people up logically from product to product to product. And obviously the price also follows suit with each of these, right? All right, informational design. Now, I showed you some slides previously about GE. Now, very litigious about that, very particular about the informational design. In fact, there was a whole thick Bible that GE provided me as I made stuff for GE. that I had to follow, right? It's called informational design. Design style guide, some people call that. Other names for it as well, but essentially you can't break the rules. It's branding related. Either way, the people you're going to be working with probably don't have that, right? You're not going to see informational design cues or anything like that. So the onus is on you. If this is the first time they're doing an ad, you're going to want to help build equity around their informational design. So if the client doesn't have a copy format, be sure to create one and then be consistent with that throughout. So if you pick Arial as your font, and maybe you say it's 12 points, and that's always going to be the case, then you want to make sure you stick with that consistently across the board, from product to product and from ad to ad. Likely you'll not get provided with enough information, so be prepared wherever possible, and then just help them. By the way, this is a great way to help ingratiate yourself to the point where they bring you on full time. You're the keeper of informational design, and over time, people understand the power of that and what that means for the brand. But really being focused on that is important. The other fun thing about this, too, is you're writing about something, try the product. You got to experience the product to be able to speak about it competently, okay? So if it's a movie you're writing a review for, you want to go watch the movie. If it's a food, you want to try Gins. If it's a shirt, you want to buy the shirt, try the shirt, get a feel for it. Get up close and personal with it, right? We've talked about this in class. Now twice we've actually tried different things and embraced the product that way. That's kind of the key. Be on the lookout for missing products that go with the main product. For example, chargers, AC adapters, and carry cases, all that stuff. A lot of times these products have accessories, so don't forget that piece, okay? All right, those are some highlights here. Let's talk specifically about Print Ad 1, something that's due on Sunday at 11:59 this week. Here's what you're going to do, right? You're going to open up a PowerPoint slide. One slide. And you're going to also open up a website, clockway.com, in conjunction with that. And what you're going to do, this is a solitary project. Now, usually we do this in partners. You're going to do this on your own now because of what we're doing, obviously with COVID. But what I want you to do is build me a catalog page / web page. You can use it either way, of 4 products. The alarm, and here's a starting point. The alarm clock industry needs our help. Cell phones have cut into their profits in a major way. Your task: pitch 4 alarm clocks of your choice to college students. So your target audience is college students. Invariably, they use their phones a lot of times, but so you gotta overcome that objection, right? You gotta overcome the fact that they use their cell phones and get them to buy a cool alarm clock. Now, alarm clocks these days do a lot of things. They have a lot of different features and things you wouldn't necessarily find on your phone. So that's what you want to look for are clocks that have special features that might be interesting to a college student. Okay, and you'll find a bunch of clocks on clockway.com. Okay, so what you're going to do is going to go on Clockway and you're going to create a single page of 4 clocks for either a print catalog or a web page. Right, all clocks should be from clockway.com. Now, obviously, you're going to see copy there. I don't want you to take the copy or the price or anything, just the clock itself. And then you're going to build from scratch some of these copy points. Each clock should have an alarm feature. That's the first bullet point you'll have, right? So that's the first thing you want to know. Make sure you have for each of these products, right? And it should step up from good, better, best to ultra best. So in this case, we're breaking the rule here a little bit, but I want you to have 4 products that go up in price and in feature sets. I'll explain that in a second more, but each clock should have an alarm feature for sure, right? That should be number 1, a bullet point for each of the 4 clocks you select. You need to follow the format listed below. I'm going to show you an example of this in a second, right? But all product blocks should include the same types of information in the same order. So let's say there's 5. Let's say you've got 4 things for clock 1, right? And it's an alarm feature. It's glow in the dark display and 2 others, right? As much as possible, this product to the right of it should mimic those. And then if you're adding price, there should be another feature beneath that. So if this one has 3 features, clock number 2 should have 4 features. And clock number 3 should have 5 features. And clock number 6, the deluxe clock, should have 6 or more. So you get the idea, right? But you want to step people up. If they want several features in one, but they also really want features from product 2, that's how we lead them down the pathway toward purchase. And invariably, people, when you look at good, better, best, they usually gravitate to the middle. This is why we like 3, in this case 4. But generally, the middle is kind of where the best margins are. And lots of times, marketers will kind of build a little equity, a little bit of margin to that better product, because I know people generally feel, oh, that's too much, that's too expensive, that's not good enough. I'm going to just cut the middle and get the better product. And that's often what happens psychologically. Let's see what else. Please do not use a clock that is not listed in Clockway. All right, so if Clockway.com does not provide enough information about one of the clocks you have selected, you may find another listing for the same product on a website for the purpose of conducting product research. And that's what you're doing. You're looking at these products, right? Ultimately, and you're building a page. So each product should have at least one photo and a label head, which means that the name of the product goes here, right? And then beneath it should be some kind of benefit bulleted statement. This is a catchy one-line benefit written directly to the college students that tells them why this clock is awesome, what's unique about it in some way, right? So the copy block itself should start with an attention-grabbing opening. We've talked about some of these here, right? For example, the Bop toy is a good example. Wowie Kazowie, the original Bozo Bop bag from our youth. So this is a good example of what I'm talking about there, right? So it should have punch, and you got that. Then you got beneath that you should have some bullet points. Beneath that, of course, you should also have then some key information like the price, product number, and then let's take a look at some of these here. So here's one example one. Here's maybe a better one. Example two. And in this case here, you see sort of on the top here the product display, the product name, and maybe a little copy, and then bullet points beneath for each of these, and they step up from left to right. Here is an example of a student that made one for Clockway, right? And this, just to give you an idea what's going on here. You got $44.99, $49.99, $69.99, and $79.18 across the board here, and you've got, here's the name of the clock, and kind of runs away beeping. In this case here, have problems getting up, chase down the runaway alarm clock, turn off the wheels, and make it a conventional alarm clock, and then bullet points beneath, and so on and so forth. Right now, in this case here, this person did not put the alarm clock feature here, so they lost points, but you get the idea that always that first bullet point alarm clock feature should be on each of these clocks. And then, of course, after that, how do you step them up from this one to this one? Some other things here to think about. Obviously, just we call this white space, right? So you want to have space, let the pictures breathe. You don't want to have them crowded or laying over copy and things like that. You want to give the eye space so it can read these things comfortably, right? And bullet points are important. So you got tagline on top, short narrative copy, bullet points beneath. Here's the price. And what's missing here, obviously, do they have product model number? They don't have the model number. So you also want to have the model number down there as well. So maybe not the best example, but you get the idea. Okay, so that's enough to be dangerous, I think, there. What you want to do is make this on one slide, right? So you want to use this creatively, have some fun with it, but obviously write the copy, fresh copy. So I'll be able to look at these. So I don't want you to just cut and paste the copy you find on Clockway or anywhere else. Write some good copy here for each of these. And can you make up features? Of course. If you want to do that, go for it. Whatever you think makes sense. But again, we're looking more importantly about the step-up strategy from one to the other. And again, these, the design quality of this as well. You want to think about picking one font. Heading copy, right, could be one-sized font, maybe a little bit bigger, a little thicker. Maybe if you want to bold that, you could do that. But make sure it's consistent from product to product, right? So each of these products should be consistently the same. Like you have here, right? These prints, or this one, maybe another one. You got a good example of 4 on a page. All right, how am I going to grade this? This is right from our Canvas site. So I'll be grading this way. It's worth a whopping 75 points. So informational design, all copy blocks share the same organizational pattern, right? So that's one thing I'll be looking at. Benefit statements, strength of bulleted benefit statements and appropriations for target audience. So in other words, are you hitting the target audience? Are you hitting those students with good copy and bullet points? Good, better, best. Are you stepping them up, right? And that's one thing is price, but also number of bullet points and kind of making sense with your layout. Information support for your target audience. Did you offer the information your target audience wants and needs? Is it important to them? And then, of course, the last one here is more of my assessment, but obviously is the page pleasing to look at? Is it clean? Is it attractive? Is it easy to use and refer to? Is it free of errors? Do you have any spelling errors and things like that? So that boils up to or builds up to a 75-point total here. All right, that's all I got for this week here. Good luck. Let me know if you have any questions. This, again, like I said, is due on Sunday at 11:59. It's a PowerPoint slide. Publish that bad boy to Canvas, and we'll be good to go. All right. Talk to you soon. Have a good week. Bye-bye.